not too long after that, the process kicked into gear, and there were, as is always the case in something big and complicated like this, there were unusual steps along the way. A waiter at a restaurant in Los Angeles, frustration and the monotony of years of watching the process grind on with no real forward movement toward making the fight. At some point last year, I think, in 2014, I opted for the low-anxiety conclusion that it would never happen, and that made it easier to answer all the people who would stop me in the street or at the shopping mall to find out when Mayweather was going to fight Pacquiao. And I even said on my HBO television show, The Fight Game, that I didn't believe it would ever happen. A random bump into each other at a basketball game in Miami, which led to the unusual circumstance of Mayweather meeting with Pacquiao face-to-face in his hotel room, and presto, we have a fight. So I'm happy that it's finally taking place, and I no longer have to answer in the negative. Doesn't seem that way to me now. I would have told you that 6 or 8 months ago when it did seem that the bloom was somewhat off the rose and there was a certain public fatigue with the subject. But now that we are a month away from the fight, as you point out, have been asking for years, when is this finally going to happen?
Well, any and all influential in the process, we are appreciative because now it is finally scheduled for May 2nd. Very similar to Tyson and Lewis. Some are saying this fight would have been a lot more influential and decisive if this was done 5 years ago. Is that the case? Could we have known a lot more about this if this fight was
turned out the way that it should have?
A perfect lead-in for our last question for you, Jim. Has there been any kind of pre-fight excitement like this in your Hall of Fame boxing hosting career?
Yeah, I think that there was a very similar kind of public appetite for Mayweather versus De La Hoya when they fought. To a certain degree, this kind of anticipation, numbers and general overall revenue. Global interest seems to be at an extreme peak, and I don't know, maybe at the end of the day, the long wait and the constant agonizing question as to whether it was ever going to happen has actually enhanced. So, for a long time, it appeared that they were cutting their own throats. Now it appears that they will make even more money from this enterprise than had been estimated and speculated on for years and years and years. Quite as omnipresent, or that was quite as omnipresent in the culture as this has been. I've covered a lot of very big fights that meant a great deal. Probably this one does extend deeper into the general public consciousness, does reach farther beyond the boundaries of the boxing cult than any other fight that I have covered. Ali Frazier had deep cultural implications that took it to a socio-political level this fight does not occupy. The same was true of Joe Louis versus Max Schmeling. I'm not sure it's really the biggest fight of all time. It's definitely the biggest economic event in boxing ever.
Jim Lampley, Hall of Fame boxing host, seen on HBO. We thank you for your insight.